Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our Claroty's live session. My name is Pallavi Singh. I'm a technical product marketing manager at Claroty. And today with me, I have my guest, Tal Lofer. She is the VP of Products and R&D at Claroty. Hey, Tal.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me today. Well, I will get into what we are here today. Let's start with what's happening and what our team has been working on. And we have certain findings to start our case with today. We know, and what we saw our Team 82 report, that our research team found that from a sample of thousands of human-machine interfaces and engineering workstations, Team 82 found that 13% are insecurely connected to the internet, and 36 of those contain at least one known exploited vulnerability. And given these findings, Tal, can you explain what these numbers mean for the threat landscape of critical infrastructure?
Yeah, definitely. So these are very interesting findings and quite a bit alarming, for pretty much everyone. What these numbers mean is, first of all, the first number is 13%. That means that 13% of devices across different networks in the OT network are open to the internet and are exposed to a cyber attack, meaning anybody could basically reach out to them and get into the device itself. Out of these devices, which their numbers are thousands, about 36% of those actually have something that we called KEV, a known exploited vulnerability. That means that there's already a known breach method that can be used at any time by a hacker to basically hack into the device, get control over it, and move from that point on. It basically shows a huge hole within the network, inside the OT network. There's just waiting for the hacker or somebody to take advantage of. So it basically shows that many OT networks are not as safe and secure as people believe they are.
That's a big percentage. Like, I think I know the number is like 125,000 devices is what we did our research on. And out of that, if 13% have such open doors, I can only imagine like what the threat vectors are like for us and how easy it could be for attackers to go in. And that leads to my next question, Tal, is like, what attack vectors do these open doors expose our customers to, and how does it happen?
So basically, if the device is exposed, anybody can connect to it from anywhere in the world, right? It's completely out there without any issue. Whoever gets in can make damage to the device itself, shut it down, or cause any kind of other damage. Or they can also use it as a springboard to move laterally within the network, meaning move to other devices, other pieces of the network, shut them down, steal information. And from that, the list of damages is very big.
That leads to me thinking of like how important it is to have a solution that at least gives you that visibility into who's accessing what, and making sure that you have necessary controls in place. And I think that's why we're here to talk about our big launch of our very own product, xDome Secure Access by Claroty. Now, Tal, like, how do you think Claroty beats the current threat vectors for secure access to cyber physical systems? Can you explain a little bit about the product?
Yeah, definitely. So this is indeed a very exciting launch for us. We are launching xDome Secure Access, which is basically an evolution of the existing secure access product from Claroty, the SRA. It is taking all the remote access, PAM, ZTNA capabilities that are part of such a secure remote access solution and delivers them in both on-prem and cloud deployment models for each customer based on their needs and their network architecture. It's a new offering from Claroty. The name suggests that it is part of the xDome platform. So basically, xDome is going to be a set of tools that will basically be a one-stop shop for our customers to get both visibility, risk assessment, exposure management, and secure remote access. This new offering includes new and modern UI and UX, as well as high availability features and pretty much everything else that a customer would need in terms of PAM, ZTNA, and secure remote access capability.
Those are a lot of things that you've mentioned there, Tal. I mean, if we were to, particularly focus on something that is specialized for CPS environment or cyber physical systems, what do you think would be the benefits of having a purpose-built solution for this environment, and how like all the stats that we discussed earlier, like 13% are insecure, how would the solution help with that?
So basically, a remote access solution that is specially built for the CPS environment supports different use cases and features that are unique to the operation of a CPS or an OT network, and also to its regulatory constraints. This is different than a standard IT solution, right? There are different requirements, different use cases, different regulations and compliances that they need to meet. For example, specialized access control features for third-party vendors are very critical within the secure remote access for OT because of all the third-party vendors that need to connect remotely into the system, and they need to be able to connect quickly and easily to maintain high mean time to repair, right? They need to have a stable and quick connection to the systems. So this is one kind of constraint that needs to be addressed. Another example for what needs to be done, especially for the OT network, is real-time session control and recording. When somebody is remotely accessing a device within the network, you need to make sure that you can monitor what they're doing. You can basically control what they're doing, stop the session if there's a problem, and also maintain recording for compliance and incident forensic purposes if something happened later on, so you can go back and check on that. And another requirement on that front is to be able to share sessions and have collaboration tool to basically have multiple technicians looking at the same point, or the admin and technician. These are unique use cases that are very common and very easily understood in the OT network that need to be planned for, and the remote access solution needs to be built for that. Also, the implementation of granular access control based on zero trust is an important pillar of this because it blocks access to the entire network, allowing only access to the approved device in the network, meaning blocking any potential hazardous access from a vendor. So in this OT environment example, that would basically mean that a specific vendor from company X would only be able to see and access devices that should be maintained by company X, and not be able to get into or view any other types of devices.
Those are some great points you've highlighted there. I mean, you're right that in CPS, there are so many regulatory requirements coming up in different regions, and I can think of how it's so tough for companies to keep up with them. So having a solution that already meets all these necessary controls of, I don't know, NERC, CISA, CPGs, or IEC 62443, and I think at the end that's what it's all about, being compliant and keeping up with these regulatory demands. And you also hit on another point, was third-party vendors. All these OEMs who access our OT environment. Let's say maybe majorly they're planned maintenance, but at majority of the times they're also unplanned maintenance. So thinking of these unplanned maintenance, it leads me to think about how does xDome secure access enhances the productivity piece for these OT engineers and third-party people for day-to-day basis.
So first, so first of all, secure access, remote access is a day-to-day tool. It needs to be, always available, super stable. And it is also very important that it's going to be easy to operate and easy to understand. And these are some of the principles that lead us when developing the xDome Secure Access product. The product provides access to the OT devices from anywhere, inside and outside the network. That means that it can reduce the travel, it can reduce the visits, the fuss around bringing somebody into the site, and it basically allows for immediate access from anywhere in the world into the OT network. Why is that needed? It's needed in order to maintain the mean time to repair, right? To be able to allow for fast repair of any kind of issues within the network. And it is needed in order to, it needs to be easy so that the technician, the OT manager, would be able to easily grant that access at the time of an incident. When timing matters, it needs to be, fast. It needs to be easy in terms of configuration. It also needs to be monitored, right, and logged so that it can be followed up on later. It also needs to be agentless because it's the easiest way to deploy without any requirement to deploy an agent on the device itself. All of these, capabilities, lead to better productivity because they just make it very easy to install, maintain, and operate this secure remote access solution while you're basically keeping all the security at a very high standard.
Mhm. I can think of, the business outcome for customers for would be like saving so much money for the travel and training these engineers. Because I think you and I discussed a few weeks ago that how much money the companies spend to train them, to take them to sites in the ships, or I don't know, cruise ships, or going and doing all those, especially the engineers who are on retainers, and how frequently they have to go in the environment. But now they can access that easily, and I can imagine the total cost of ownership that they get, and like you said, mean time to response, that is already reduced, and there can be um, uh, things can be run smoothly and efficiently for operations. I know we discussed the part of now regulatory productivity. Now that I know in between you mentioned ZTNA earlier, what role does zero trust framework play in xDome secure access? And like, why do you think that's crucial for today's OT environment?
So, first of all, zero trust is the methodology that suggests that every user should have the minimal access, least access, and permissions they need in order to do their work. Any other type of device that is not within their permission definition will be obfuscated completely, so they will not even be able to see that. This capability is especially critical in OT network because you want to give a vendor, whether it's a first party or a third party remote access user, you want to give them the minimal list of privileges and permissions so that they would not basically get into a device that they should not be touching. There's a high sensitivity around those different types of devices, and you want to make sure that every identity, every user is accessing only what they need to access in order to do their job, and do not have access to other types of devices that they can potentially impact and potentially get to other places in the network from. This is super critical in the OT environment because there are so many different types of users, right? There's first party, third party vendors, partners, all those different types of users that are accessing the OT network. Each one of them needs to have different type of permission and privileges and ability to do things within the network. And the sensitivity of the network and the criticality of the network combined with the amount of different people that actually need to access to it really warrants the use of zero trust in order to maintain the security of those devices in the network.
That's a great point. That tells me that having these granular control and privileged access, it's so necessary. And the part is not customers don't get this out of one solution. I mean, I would think that um, uh, customers have been relying on multiple solutions for, I don't know, secure file transfer to OT environment, or the admins struggle to like have that real time monitoring and what you just mentioned. All these are layers of controls that is all incorporated in that methodology that you mentioned is zero trust. And so finally, that leads me to think of like, what is so unique about your solution as compared to the others in the market?
This is the part where I'm supposed to answer we're the best, right? No, just kidding. So, first of all, our solution is built for the OT network, built for a CPS environment. This is what we specialize in. This is what Clarity has been doing for many years. And we do everything with the OT network and the OT personnel on our minds. And we have built the product especially for those use cases and for the needs of such organizations. So you can see that in other products from Clarity. You can see that in the exom secure access. All the use cases I mentioned earlier, like handling different type of users, like first party, third party, all this role-based access control is something that needs to come very strongly as part of a CPS network configuration and control. So all these examples I mentioned are kind of showing how are we CPS first and how is this our expertise and main focus. The second unique thing about our solution is that xDome Secure Access is part of the xDome platform, basically, and we're going to be leveraging on the synergies between the xDome product and xDome Secure Access. This kind of integration and kind of collaboration between the platforms can bring tons of value because xDome specializes in discovery of assets and vulnerability management, exposure management. So there's a lot of knowledge and understanding of the network that exists within xDome that, when combined with xDome Secure Access, can bring a lot of value, increase the visibility of the network, make things much easier to operate, and generally, provide much better control and monitoring of the network. Some examples for this would be using the xDome capabilities for asset discovery in order to bring in those devices into the xDome secure access, such that they will be discovered by xDome and then mapped into xDome secure access for easy remote access into those devices. We will also be implementing identity governance features to allow for full life cycle management of different personnel, different identities that are using the system. We will be able to also enhance our incident response and incident management and forensics by using the information from both platforms together and getting to smarter conclusions about potential causes for an incident or a problem. We will also be able to add more advanced automations of processes, meaning we will be able to detect assets and immediately add them and configure them for remote access. We'll be able to automate and streamline many more processes that may be done manually today. We will automate them, make them less error prone, and make the lives of the network admins, the OT managers, much easier because they will be using this type of platform that can do so many different things for them just in one place, in one kind of product.
Those were some great capabilities that you mentioned, Tal. All of that is, I think, is what the such critical infrastructure environments need. And I think if I were to think of the key capabilities of everything that you mentioned today, is all about, I think the customers, what they need is a productivity for the engineers, first and third parties. It's the reducing risk of the whole environment with ZTNA controls and identity governance that you mentioned, PAM, privileged access, granular access control. And I think we hit the part of something that, again, all of this that provides us to reducing the complexity of admins. That's what I'm thinking, that how it makes with real-time monitoring, with having to have the ability to terminate a session if you think there's some suspicious activity happening. That's a great capability to have.
Reducing risk of
And then finally is the regulatory compliance piece, that how are we mapping to all the existing uh, regulatory frameworks that are out there, and how it makes it easy for you for risk and compliance for your overall um, company's exposure. So that leads me to say that, and I would think of like all the customers who are using the traditional solutions, IT solutions, for accessing the environment. And I'm not sure, I can hear some music in here. Can you as well, Tal? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just want to,
Nope.
okay, I guess it's on my side. So I just want to say that this was great to hear from you, Tal, all the things that you mentioned, and that tells that how clarity beats exposure, how clarity beats risk, and how clarity beats all the threats that are out there, which we are here to help you. That and we what we just discussed, that how exome secure access can help you with those threat vectors and have you a mature controls in your environment to have a secure CPS systems. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And I know we shared a lot about what our Team 82 has done, their findings, and what our solution is about at this launch that we just spoke to you about. So please check out our website, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining today, Tal.
My pleasure.